Okay, so good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining this particular session, which we are calling it as CV Garage. I am Mohit. I'm the chair of IEEE Mangalore Subsection for the year 2023. And before I hand over the session to two of our presenters, Kavya and Muthu, I would just like to give a quick introduction about this particular event. So first of all, you all might have registered for the SETUVE program. And this is a step zero of SETUVE program to make the CVs look better so that we can then share these CVs with other people and then they can directly reach out to you in case they want to offer you an internship program. So before we go there, let me just give you a quick idea. IEEE Mangalore Subsection has completed 10 years of existence. We were formed in 2013. We are in 2023. We are doing decennial celebrations on August 20, Sunday at NITK. And if you need the registration links and all, we'll send it to you at the end of this particular presentation. We conduct several flagship events. One is coming up in October 2023. So see to it that you guys can join as volunteers. In case you want to be there, just reach out to me and we will have you as volunteers. This is happening in Sayatri College of Engineering and Management, and two events which we have already completed in May and March. There are some unique initiatives. Most of you might be already aware. There's dedicated funding for student branches. We have started SETUVE program. In October, we will also come back with Google Summer of Code training and how to apply for such kind of programs. And finally, yes, at the end of every year, we do evaluation of IEEE student branches and we give away cash prizes and certificates. I'll send you this PPT later on. You can follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn so that you can be always aware of what we are doing. But without wasting too much of your time, I would like to hand it over to Kavya or Muthu. Maybe you guys can start sharing the screen and I can confirm.
Yes, sir.
Can
Muthu is
you,
sharing.
yeah, can you
Yes.
see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Kavya Bhatt, and today with me is Muthu Kumar. We're both upcoming fourth years at NITK Saratkal, and today we'll be sharing how to build your resume. We'll go over what a resume is, what you're supposed to have in your resume, and how to build it using Overleaf. Um, yeah, next slide. Yeah, coming to what a resume is. So it's essentially a concise document that you use to convince recruiters that they need to talk with you. So you're not supposed to tell everything in your resume because it doesn't fit, right? When I say concise, it means just you're supposed to stick to one page. So if you're going beyond one page, then you're likely saying something that's no longer relevant to the recruiter who's looking at your resume. So this document that you're going to submit to any company that you hope to interview with is just a trailer of who you are. It's not the entire movie. And uh, recruiters spend a maximum of 1 minute on your resume. Usually it goes between 30 seconds to 1 minute. So you can uh, think of how they might just be glancing at your resume and obtaining keywords or just reading the keywords essentially. So because of that, if you're going beyond one page, then they're going to lose interest, one thing, and you're possibly giving too much information that you could uh, talk about in your interview itself. So because of this, um, you're supposed to ensure that your resume contains only the information that's highly important and relevant. Um, Next slide, please. Yeah. So what do I add in my resume? So a resume generally has only the following subsections. First comes your education, then your experience, which could be internships or projects, professional projects that you've done. Uh, then you talk about your technical skills, which could be languages that you're proficient in, frameworks that you're familiar with, and other tools that you might use. After that, you'll be adding any advanced coursework or recognized certifications. Now, this is optional. If you've not done any advanced coursework or you've not done any recognized certifications, you just skip this section and move on to projects. Here in projects, you usually list about uh, 2 to 4, like a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 4 projects. You give GitHub links to them, and you also speak in as much detail as you can about these projects. Here you'll be talking about what exactly you implemented, what the entire project does, and what tech stack you would have used. The next section would be activities and achievements. Here you can talk about things such as any contributions to relevant club activities. Like here you're a part of IEEE, right? So you would have had some events that you might have contributed to or organized for other students. You can talk about those in 1 or 2 lines. You can also mention any scholarships that you've obtained or mentorship programs that you were a part of. And if you participate in hackathons or coding contests and you've gotten prizes or good ranks in your coding contest, you can put them up too. Next slide, please. So why should you use LaTeX? There are a bunch of options you could use to create your resume, right? You could use Word. I think Word has a few resume templates. But the issue there is that you end up focusing on the format because it's sort of unstable, and each time you add content to it, the formatting goes wrong and all of that. LaTeX helps you in multiple different ways. It's pretty stable and compatible with a lot of applications, which means that you create your resume once, and then over a multitude of years, you can just edit the content for it and have different iterations of it. And formatting with LaTeX is pretty easy because if you uh, create the um, required template or use a predefined template, you can then focus on the content without having to worry too much about whether your alignment is right and all of that. There's no need to learn LaTeX from scratch. That could be a little difficult. So what you can do, what most of us do, is use easily available templates from Overleaf. And suppose you get errors while editing, which is sometimes unavoidable. You'll be experimenting with things and you'll find a bunch of errors pop up. In that case, Google or ChatGPT is your friend. You usually have um, a lot of answers on, I think, Stack Exchange, which helps you easily correct any errors that might have popped up. And we have a couple of examples of what good templates are. And those are generally single column templates, single color also, because I usually stick to either one or a maximum of 2 colors if you're using hyperlinks. Templates to avoid would be those such as, if you could open that up. Yeah. So you'll see that this is a multiple column resume. And why you should avoid that is because these resumes don't really parse well when it's sent to an ATS, which is an application tracking system. So it doesn't read the resume well, which is why we usually stick to a single column resume. Next, we'll be looking at, okay, this is something I already spoke about. So what is wrong with other platforms that you could use? Your spacing and other style guide, stylistic aspects uh, are dictated by your font size, your font style, and the program itself. And it's not easily customizable. So yeah, you get lesser freedom in terms of editing or putting up content in your resume. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I'll take over. So now since you guys can see the LaTeX also, right? Like overleaf also, right?
yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we saw that we have to build resumes using LaTeX, because obviously this resume looks way more professional, right? and it's appealing to the eyes of an interviewer. Everything is broken down into smaller sections like education, experience, projects, technical skills. So suppose I am an interviewer, I can just like know, okay, yeah, this guy has projects in his resume. So all the projects must be listed under this. So this makes the resume more organized. And you also know there is a pattern that's followed. Like everything has its timeline on the right, everything has its university or company or something just below its name that is essential to itself, right? And everything has a section. So everything is organized. So resumes like these are what are required, and these are what are better than resume like these, where everything is just scattered here and there. So now, as you see, like something is on the right, something is on the left. There is a bar here, which is actually showing the most probably the skill of this person in the specific language. So now these kind of things are deviating from a main point, which is to just give them a brief overview, right? Okay. So that's the reason why we use LaTeX and why we try to keep it to simple resumes. Now let's start with going to Overleaf. So Overleaf, so LaTeX is actually a computer program, not a language per se, but it's
May
basically a
I
program.
interrupt, Muthu? If you don't
Yes, sir.
mind, can you
Yeah,
just zoom in a bit more on this
yeah,
page?
sure. Yeah.
Uh, Maybe the Overleaf login page that you had.
Okay, okay. Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and by default, keep zooming in because otherwise it will be little
Okay.
less visible to others. Yeah, this looks good. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the login page of Overleaf. So as you can see, you have like options to log in with Google, even with your IEEE account and with your Orchid account, or you can also create a new login. So I already have a login, so I'll be logging in. So once you log in to this, you are greeted with this uh, as your interface. So now in this interface, if you see, this is where your projects are. So every project can be considered to be one resume. So if you need to have multiple resumes like I have here, you can keep creating more projects. And for a free plan, you have a maximum limit of maybe 15 projects. So you can have 15 resumes in overall. Now on the left side, you have your buttons to create the project, to share a project, to archive a project, and things like that. So those are the buttons on the left side, and this is where your main projects are. So now suppose you are going to create a fresh resume, right? So now you're going to click on create. Now you are met with a lot of options. You can create a blank project. You can create an example project. You can upload a project. There are like a lot of options. So which option would you choose? A blank project actually gives you a blank LaTeX page. So you will have to write all the projects from, like you will have to write all the lines, including the base. There is nothing in a blank project except for a very basic appearance. That's it. There's nothing else. But however, here if you can see the template section, you see there are templates for each and everything. So LaTeX has a very large use case. It's not restricted to resumes, but our session is restricted to resumes. But LaTeX in general has its use case in theses as well. So if you are writing a PhD thesis or an MTech thesis, so it you will have to put a lot of equations there. You'll have to put a lot of symbols. So at that point, LaTeX really helps you. So now since ours is a resume, let's click on resume/CV. So now when you click on resume/CV, you're met with a lot of uh, options. Like these are all templates. So now these templates, you can choose any of these templates, right? So these are all resume templates. Now, if you like one template, you can choose that template. Let's do one thing. There is like a very popular, like the one that we linked here as well. This one, Jake's resume. We'll go with that resume because that is the most popular resume and that's the most preferred resume as well. So to do that, you can go to view all. So when you go view all, it shows you all the templates. So just type Jake here. The link is anyways here. So if you want to go through the link, you can go to the link as well. So this is the Jake's resume. So now here in this page, once you come to Jake's resume, are there people who are following me as in, are there people who are doing it with me? So that should I have to wait or is it fine?
No, you can continue, but keep your pace a bit slow.
Yeah,
We are hoping some of them might be following through,
yeah,
and
okay,
maybe if somebody is following through and you
yeah,
are thinking we are going fast, just raise your hand and we will
yeah,
know that you are going fast. So raise your
yeah.
hand and we will know that we are going fast. Muthu will
Stop it for you. Yeah,
slow down.
yeah, yes. So in case anyone's following, you can like go to this link. I can put the link in the chat as well if you want to. Uh, where is yeah. I'll put the link in the chat. So if anyone's following us, you can go to this link. So that should open up this page for you. Now, as you can see, on the right side, you have the resume template. On the left side, you have specific options. So the first option is open as template. That's the most, that's the option that we need to choose. Because what do we want? We want to open this resume, right? We want to copy this resume template. The things in this resume are not meant to be copied. It's the template that's meant to be copied. But with the template, we get a lot of placeholder texts. Like as you can see here, first, last. Okay, so now you might, this interface might look a little scary. So let's break this interface down. Okay. So the top of the interface has the buttons that control the project. Like you can share the project with someone, you can submit the project, you can look at the history of the project, you can chat, things like that. So suppose collaboration, right? So like I said, LaTeX is not meant only for resume. And even for resume, suppose you want to get your resume reviewed with someone. So you can just share the resume here with the person and they'll be able to see this whole thing again. So that's the part of this layout. Now let's come to the left side. So left side, you can see this is the file section. So this contains all the files in the resume. So now, where is this useful? Right? You might wonder. In the first page, we said that a resume is meant to last only for a one page, whereas I'm now saying these are all the files in the resume. So how does that work? You might ask. So the thing is, suppose you want to add an image in your resume. So now, where will you reference the image for? Right? Like, is the image some downloaded asset from the internet? If it is downloaded asset, where will you store it? Right? You have to store it somewhere so that you can import it into the LaTeX, into the PDF. That's where this section comes into use. You can upload stuff. Like if you click here, you get an option to upload stuff. So you can upload images if you want. You can upload files, things like that. If you want, you can upload links and all that stuff. That is why we have this file system. And like I said, if you have a thesis, which is even complicated, you'll have multiple images, you'll have multiple pages, all those things. So then it becomes even more useful. But for our sake, we will mostly be using a single file, which is main.txt. Now coming below, this is the file outline. So file outline is basically a intelligent mapping of the outline of the resume. So you can imagine LaTeX to be a kind of a code system where you have like different sections that are defined with keywords. So what Overleaf does is it basically parses the keywords into sections and it gives you this outline. So now if you click on one of these sections, it will take you to that section. Like if for now, don't worry about the left side. Okay, we do not have to worry about the left side now. I will come to the left side in some time. For now, just understand the top part and the left part. That's it. This part, just ignore it for now. So now this is the file outline. So as you can see, you can just click the outline here and it will take you to that outline. That's what the file outline does. That's it. It's very simple. Now comes the main part, which is the writing of our resume, right? So this is where you write the resume. This is where you write the parts of your resume. So now, as you can see, there's a code editor and there is a visual editor. So visual editor and code editor are almost the same. It's just that a visual editor gives you a visual appearance to the items. It makes it look better. So tell me, is this the better one or is this better? So for an end user, this looks a little bit more better because this does exactly what you want to do, which is what you see, right? So it's very common to say something called what you see is what you get. So this, what you see is what you get here, right? Whereas this is not. This is parsed into this. But however, to maximize the functionality of Overleaf or LaTeX in general, we prefer the code editor because that's the whole point of why we use LaTeX, right? Because we want more control over what we write. We do not want to stick to a template. We do not want to stick to something. We want to write what we want to write. So, yeah, so that is why we stick to code editor. So, whatever is written on this left side is parsed into whatever is written on right side. So now you might, so let's start with the top. Let's start with the top of the, so there are like some tricks that I'll explain over the course. But however, let's come to these things. So use package. So these 15
So
lines.
can you zoom in a bit? Can you
Yeah,
zoom in a bit? It's
yeah.
too small to be seen.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Is
This is better.
this,
This
yeah.
is good. Yeah.
Okay, left side, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is the left side. So as you can see here, there are use package. So if you have used Python before, or if you have used any coding editor before, a coding language before, you know that you will always need some package, right? Like it could be system package, it could be any package, but you need it because you want to make things simpler. That's what these things do. So these are basically telling LaTeX that you have to use these packages, like verbatim, enum item, fancy hire. These things are just packages. So you can ignore these. These are preloaded. You don't have to deal with these. Now font options, same thing. What is the font that you want to set? And everything is preloaded. Next comes the important stuff. So no margin. So everyone has their own preferences for margin, right? Like someone might have a bigger margin, wants a bigger margin so that it looks good. Now suppose right now the margin is set to be minus 0.6 inch. So I can actually change it to 1. So now there is no change in right side. Was there? No, right. There is no change. Now how do I see a change? So to see a change, you need to click on recompile. So what recompile does is it recompiles the whatever you have written on left side to right side. So now you saw there was a change. What was the change? The margin got shifted to the left. Why? Because we actually increased the negative margin to -1. Let's just reset it because this looks a little weird. So if we reset it, it comes back to this, which is what is the original template. So these uh, next set of variables are all controlling the margins and lengths. So suppose you want to increase the margin from the top. What will you do? You will just change the top margin to what you like. So suppose I set it to -1 inch. So now if you see the whole thing got shifted by a little above. Why was that happening? Because it is -1 inch. Let's reset it back to 0.7. So now everything resets back to normal. So these variables let you control the margins. That is fine. So margin is done. Next, after margin, what do you want? You have like spacing. After margin comes the spacing of each section. How much space do you want between these points? Right. That is the spacing. So these are one by one. If you go through these are basically telling LaTeX this is the configuration that you need to set. And left margin. So here there is another property for left margin. This is for subheading. So these are the properties that are getting set one by one to the right side. So this is why I said, this way we said that LaTeX gives you more control over what you write. You can't do this specifically in Word. Like Word lets you set margins, but not so specifically as LaTeX does. So for now, we don't have to worry about this because we just want a simple resume. But in case we want to change our resume to a better stuff, then this is definitely useful, right? Okay. So now comes our beginning of the template. So now you might be like, okay, this looks so huge. How do I know where to change? So LaTeX has it very easy for you, overlay. So if you want to change first last, you don't know where it is on left side. So what do? You just click on first last. That's it. You just double click on first last. It takes you to where it is on the left side. So if you double click on relevant coursework, it takes you to that section. If you double click on first last, it takes you to that section. So now suppose I want to add my name here. So I can just edit this and I'll recompile. What happens? Yes, whatever was written came to the right side. Right? So Muthukumar, I wrote this on left side and it just recompiled it to right side. So this is how you change stuff in overleaf. Like till now I explained about the variables, but this is the important part. This is why we use overleaf. Like you just have to double click this section. It takes you to where it is on left side. You just edit it. So you make ABC. It makes it ABC. Yeah. It takes a little time to recompile, but you have to wait for it to recompile. So now I'll change it back to and it will change it. So this is how you edit stuff from the template. So now suppose I want to change my education, right? Which is obviously the first step of any resume is that you want to change the education. So I just go and find out where the education section is. It's here. Or you could also double click here, either ways. So if you double click here, it takes you to where it is, or you can just scroll to the left side and go to the section. So now here I can give me 1 second. Yeah. So here, what do I want to change? I want to change my university name first of all. So I'll change it to National Institute of Technology I've changed it. Recompile. So after every step, make sure you recompile. That is very important in overlay because as you can see, there is a lot of code here. Section, resume subheading, end. So like even if you mess up a single bracket, it is going to give an error. So suppose I add an extra bracket here. As you can see, already it gives an error. If I recompile, since LaTeX is smart enough to know that this bracket is extra, it recompiles without any issues. Whereas if it was another like a completely syntactical mistake, like if I write something like I don't know how to make a syntax mistake, but let's try making a syntax mistake. Yeah, it actually finds out the syntax mistake here and it logs it here. So if you see, it has logged that the missing we have inserted an extra curly braces. So we can just get rid of this, come back, normal, normal. So now if you go to logs, it just gives you warnings. There is no error, which is why it's rendering properly. So at every step, make sure you recompile your LaTeX document because it is very prone to error. And once you make an error and you move forward, it is very difficult to pinpoint where the error was. So make sure you recompile every time. So this is how I changed the name of the institute. So next, I want to change the year of graduation. Right? I want to make it 2024. That's stepwise. I made it 2024. So if you see here, it got changed to Centennial. Now, Bachelor of Science, let it stay the same. Okay, now comes another important part, which is how do you put, so for every resume, right? These are the most common sections: experience, projects, technical skills, leadership, extracurricular. So these are the project headings. If you see here, they have commented it out properly. You can also control F here, by the way. You can just check for anything. Like you can just check for education. It will give you education. So control F works on the left side as well. If you don't want to do control F, you can always just click on this. And the same thing actually you can do reverse as well. If you click on this on right side, it will point you to whatever it is on left side. So go to code location and PDF. That's how it works. So either it works both sides. You're not restricted to one side. Now coming to important points, right? So as we mentioned in what makes resume important, it's that you do not write everything in the resume. You make points for things that you want to write. So if you see here, everything is a point. Developed a service to automatically perform unit tests, incorporated scripts, utilize Jenkins, explode ways. So these are all 4 points, right? And this will be the most important thing in your resume. You will have to make points for every specific item, be it experience, be it project. So how do you do it? You do it using something called resume list. This is all already done for you. As in, you can just come and edit the things here. But I'm just telling you how it works actually. So basically, inside the section called experience, there is a subheading, which is this electronics company, right? So that is actually mentioned here, resume subheading. So once the subheading is done, you can edit the city and state. Suppose city is Mangalore, state is Karnataka. Yeah. And so you have edited this, recompile once. Yes, recompilation successful. Next, you come to resume list items. So this is the first point. First point. This is always make sure that there are curly braces. Second point. I'll give you one tip that helps you do this. But third point and fourth point. Recompile. So as you saw, what changed? Everything that was text on the left side, whatever you wrote on the left side is now on the right side. As you can see, first point, second point, third point, fourth point. Now, what if you want a fifth point? What you do is you copy whatever is here, resume item. If you don't want to copy, you can type it. Actually, typing it will give you a lot of options. I'll show you. If you type /, you can see a lot of options. So these are all the different options that you can have a date, you can have a link. I'll show how to link stuff. But yeah, you can have a link, you can have items, you can have stuff. So for now, what we want is resume item. Resume item. Resume item. Fifth point. Compile. Fifth point. So fifth point here. So this is how you add things into hard points into your resume. You use the element called resume item, and you just in the curly braces, you just put your content. So that's how you edit this thing. Same thing here. Startup Inc. Startup to Bangalore, Karnataka. Same thing. Resume items 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So you can edit these resume items to what you want. So that's how you do this. Now let's go to how you can like. So these were directly one beneath the other, right? But some okay. So before we go to that, let's come to one very important thing, especially for projects. So every project, everyone must have told this, but every project always and always has what? It has a link, right? It always has a link to something. So how do you use the link? So to use the link, you use something called href. So href. So as you see here, the moment you type href, what does it show? Href. It shows two brackets. So these two brackets actually stand for two things. First is the link that you wanted to link to. Like if I wanted to link to this, I'll link it here. No, that's a very, okay, let's go to Google.com. What is this? This is the, this is what you want, in what you want to display that it links it there. Like I want this text to be displayed, right? So what I can do is I can copy this text here, paste it inside this. So what did I do here? I just copied the text that was outside and pasted it inside href. That's it. Very simple. So let's go back to step by step. So this is where it was fresh. There was nothing. There is no link. There's nothing now. Now I want to add a link. So what I do? First the step /href. It gives me two braces. What do these braces stand for? First brace stands for the link. Second brace stands for the text. So you want some text. Text is already here, which is gym reservation bot. So what do? You copy the text, paste it inside this, recompile. So now, did you see this? Can you see this? It goes to a link. If I click on the link, it will take me to google.com. This is the most important part because you want all your projects to be linked to their GitHub or anything, like anything that shows that you have done the project. Same thing for your experience as well. You want it to be linked to a certificate, right? That's why people give certificates. Even every organization, they give you certificate of participation. Why? Because you can use it to prove that you participated. So now if I have this experience section, I'll do the same thing here. I'll just say instead of inside this, I'll just say hash right? I'll add the link here. I'll add electronics company here. That's it. It will link it. Now I'll just get rid of this, recompile. So let's go back to reservation bot. So www.google.com. In here, ideally, it would be your project, github.com/whatever. So that will take you to your project. Now, these are, and then like you always have the resume item one, two, all these resume items one by one. And yeah, so basically the thing to note here is how you navigate. So when you double click on something, it takes you to the item in left side. That's it. After that, you just edit it. This that's the simplest part of this. Way to do this is to double click on left side, go to the left, go right side, go to the left side, edit whatever is there, and come back. That's it. Recompile at every step. Every step, recompile. If you face any error, Google it. That's it. Uh, then we have we can move sections if we want. If we want this section, this whole section, to move to the top, you can just copy the section. Programming skills. I have copied this. I want it to be about projects. So I'll just put it here. Now, when I put it here and I recompile, you saw the whole section moved. That's it. This is how you move sections. You just copy the full section, paste it wherever you want it to be. Now, since I've pasted it here, I might as well add a comment that this is a technical skills section. Recompile. This is how you write comments. So, yeah. So this was about a general overview of LaTeX and how you can use LaTeX. So I'll go back to my slides. So if you see mm, numbered list, bullet points, these are the important stuff. Like this is a these are like essential, right? Numbered. So we saw how to write bullet points. How did we do it? We used resume. You can also use begin, item is, and item one, item two. Same thing. it gives you a list like what is here. Now, if you want to replace the list with a number, you can use enumerate item one, item. So that replaces the list with a number. So these are like some functions. And next, very important function we learned was href. Uh, I haven't added it to the slides, but yeah, href is also one of these functions that is important, which is just href. It gives you two brackets. The first bracket is the link, and the second bracket is the text. And when you click on the text, it links to the link. That's it. Simple. So this was about the about a short intro to LaTeX. So Android Studio, Java, November, anything you want, you can edit it here. And most of it is predefined. Like if you see EMPH, what is EMPH? It is actually predefined. It's predefined. You just have to use it. And what does it do? It basically gives a text here and a text here. That's what EMPH does. So it does emphasis text. That's what EMPH stands for. And you can like each of these has its own functions. You do not have to worry too much about these. All you have to do is you have to just check what section you want to edit. You go to that section, you make your edits. That's it. It's as simple as that. So that should solve most of the problems. Now, if you want, we can have like one small edit here so that we can show um, this is
Muthu, is
yeah.
it possible for you to just can you just show the PDF? I mean, download it
Ah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah,
put.
yeah. Yes, sir. I forgot. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now, obviously, you cannot submit the overleaf link at the end, right? You have to submit the PDF. So that is what this button says for. So when you click on download PDF, it it merges everything is that is there in overleaf, that is there in your file. So if your file has a lot of pictures, it merges all the pictures to one. And suppose I make it the session one resume, it got downloaded. Yeah, you just wait for it to open. So, like I said, this download basically parses everything and makes it into a PDF. That's what this download does. So, if you click here, yeah, now let it
Okay.
open.
Can you, once it opens,
Yeah,
maybe after it
yeah,
opens, can you just zoom in? I
yeah, yeah,
want to
so,
highlight a few things to the
yeah,
students
yes,
that are very important. Maybe you can, or else you complete the walkthrough. Then at the end, I will add those points when you have the final PDF downloaded.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Okay. So, I'll just complete the walkthrough in 2 minutes. By the time the PDF should be done. Yeah. So, uh, still sharing screen, right? Yeah. Okay. So, coming back. So this is how you download stuff, and you can share it if you want with anyone. You can share the project. You can share the PDF. You can do however. So yeah. So now yes, sir. This is the video.
Right. Okay. Yeah, just keep it there. So,
Yeah.
all the students, please look at this PDF. The one most important aspect of preparing your CVs using Overleaf or LaTeX is that you don't have to worry about formatting, alignment, indentation on the left or right, and you can actually take care of. I mean, the LaTeX and the Overleaf thing takes care of almost everything. And once you prepare the CV, you can keep changing it whenever you want to edit it, whenever you have a new project, and most importantly, the CV is looks appealing for anybody who's taking a look at it to try and understand. Like for example, you can see there are beautiful icons at the top below Muthu Kumar's name. So can you zoom in, Muthu, in those icons? GitHub icon, for example, you can see. So these icons are already available. If some companies want to know what code you write, they would like to check your GitHub or GitLab profile, and you can see that there is this GitHub mascot over there, icon is there. Can you scroll to the left and you can see LinkedIn? Can you again scroll to the left and you can see an email or a phone number? So these icons, everything comes preset. All that we need to do is just go and check and replace the text and put our name, put our email, put our phone number and stuff like that. And again, it's very important to prepare sections. So you can see that there are horizontal lines below every section, like relevant coursework, experience, and if you can scroll down further, you can see the projects that you have or the skill set that you have. And you can see that the projects that you write, you're not writing paragraphs together because they are not going to read it. for every project that you have done, highlight 2 to 3 very important points that you want to convey to them. And if you have done any kind of leadership activity, like you have organized a workshop, or as an IEEE member you have done some activity, you can put all of that. And very neatly this whole PDF will appear once it's ready from your side. Yeah, just wanted to add that, Muthu. You can continue.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, so like sir said, overleaf basically makes the resume look very appealing to the eyes of an interviewer. So now, like the most important part is to edit stuff, right? So you just click on right side, you go to the point and you edit it. That's how you edit the stuff on the left side. So now if you want to remove, if I'll just show how to remove a project. So suppose I want to remove one project, just transaction management. So what I do is from the starting till the resume item list end, I just remove, recompile. See, there was an error. So which means I have removed something extra. So which means I have removed item list start. So recompile, we just recompile. Yeah. So this one was transaction management. So it started from resume project heading, item list end, v space. This is how it ends properly with an item v space, right? Resume sub item list and take this. Yeah. So that went. However, as you can see, there is a small problem in the gap, right? That you can fix by changing the v space. Like if you change the v space
Yeah, V space means
to
vertical.
vertical
V
space
Yeah, we say V space word stands for vertical space. And when
space.
you want to add V space, you give positive integers.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
want to reduce the vertical space, you give negative integers. And then
Yeah.
it will shift upwards. So since
Yeah.
Muthu had given minus, the section started overlapping with the previous section. Now he made V space 0. So now the sections are automatically adjusting themselves.
Yeah, and that was also one place where we saw the error. So as you can see, when I did not do it properly, it didn't render the PDF at all. Like I could not see the PDF at all, right? That is because I removed something that was essential. That is why recompiling at every stage is important because it lets you know whether you have made a mistake. And if you make a mistake, you rectify it at that instant. Else mistakes just pile up and then it becomes very hard to find out where exactly the mistake was. So that was about the demo mostly. So we have a small quiz planned on the demo and on other topics of resume building. So
Yeah, and so just to let all the students know that we will be just asking a few questions so that we understand whether you are able to capture or not, and then wait until the final instructions. There are two very interesting instructions at the end of this, so do not go away. And of course, the participation certificates and all will be provided, but for that you need to stay back until we complete all the steps. So Muthu, you can continue now.
yeah, Kavya, yeah,
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
yeah, I saw.
Um, so we just have a short quiz that I hope you find fun. Um, Let me know if it's visible.
Yes, it's
Yes,
visible.
it's visible.
Yeah. So navigate to menti.com and use the code
Muthu, can you
6329366.
type it
Yeah,
in?
I'll put it. Yeah, yeah, I'll put it
Uh,
in the chat. Just
Everyone.
give me 1 second.
Yeah, the instruction.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let me know. I mean, if you've opened it up and you can see my slide on your tab, then just raise your hand so that we can know when to start.
Um, yeah, it's loading for me.
Yes, sir.
So I can see CV Garage quiz time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So participants, if you are also doing it, just give a thumbs up so that we know that you are there. Maybe you can raise the hand in this Microsoft Teams window so that we know that you are there. Yeah, I can see some people raising hand. Keep your hands up so that we know that you are able to see the screens. Uh, that yeah. Okay, keep going. We can see 11, 12 people have been able to see it. Keep your hands raised up so that we know that you are able to see it. Okay, keep going. Good. More than 16 people have raised hand. Keep going, because there's fun activity ahead. So let's do that quickly. Yeah, so you need to go to menti.com, menti.com, and then use the code that we have put up in the chat box. Okay. All right, Kavya, I think we have quite a few hands going up. Maybe we can get started.
Okay, sure. So I'll just be navigating. Yeah, let me know if the first question is visible.
Yes, we can see
Okay.
the first question. What would be the best way to highlight important keywords on your resume? So all the students pick up the option that you understood. Okay, so I can see uh, some people still voting. So all of you, please vote.
Yeah, I think we've reached the number of people. Okay, all right.
Some people are still doing it.
Yeah.
So what's the correct answer then?
Um, looks like the majority voted right. So yeah, you guys are right. So you're supposed you can make specific keywords bold. Make sure that you don't go and make too many words bold, because then that's going to defeat the purpose. And your font color should remain the same, right? You should stick to black itself. If you use multiple font colors, that's going to take away from the content itself and highlight the colors instead. So what you guys are saying is right. You make the keywords bold. Again, um, you should analyze which keywords you want to highlight, and only those are to be made bold. We'll go to the next question. So, how can I include my extracurricular skills as a part of a technical resume? Um,
Yeah,
Let me know if that's visible.
yeah,
Okay.
we can see the question. Yeah, how can I include? Yeah, good. We can see people participating. Start voting, everyone. Those who have not started. Okay, nice. I think it has saturated
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Again, here, okay, we'll look at the right answer. Now, here again, the majority wins, but you might be wondering why the others are wrong, right? So the first one, let's look at the first one. It says attended math Olympiads. All right, but how is that relevant to your current uh, application for maybe an SDE role or a data scientist role, right? It doesn't tell me what you gained out of or learned out of attending those math Olympiads. Next one, great leadership and teamwork skills. Now you're telling me that you have great leadership and teamwork skills, but I can't judge that from you telling me that. So when you're trying to show that you have great leadership or great teamwork skills, you have to give me um, exactly what you did And let me judge for myself when I'm reading your resume that, okay, you do have leadership and teamwork skills. Now, the correct answer, it says uh, that you participated in extracurriculars like debate club and public speaking competitions. Now, even though that doesn't directly relate to your technical role that you're applying to, it you're saying that you develop strong communication skills through leadership roles, right? So that tells me that you're a good leader. You're probably a good team player, and you also have great communication skills. That's why we're saying that that is the right um, approach to including your skills. The fourth one, excellent communication abilities. It's similar to what I said in the second point. You're telling me that, but I have no way to judge it for myself, which is why we're saying it's not the right way to put it in your resume. Okay. Um, Next question. Which of these is a good way to outline a project on your resume? Okay. Okay, I'll give it another few seconds. All right. Um, let's look at what the right thing is. So here again, um, the way you're describing how you put your APIs in your project makes a difference, right? You're saying that you're using a strong keyword, which is developed. You're saying that the project is scalable easily, and you're saying that it's a REST API, which is the standard practice. And the rest of the options, work with APIs in a project, is too generic of a statement. So the best, or even made some API endpoints. No one voted for it, but it's too vague again. And this project uses APIs is all right if you're explaining it further. But if all you're doing is mentioning that API section in this first few words, then I would say the first option is the best way to go about it. Next question. Which of these conversation tones works best in your resume? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'll go ahead. Yeah, again, okay. Again, most of you are right. The best way to include that is to say that you led technical workshops for club members. And here again, the first two points sound all right when you're talking in a very informal context, right? But to a recruiter who's uh, coming from a professional setting and who is a complete stranger, you would want to appear very professional and say that you led workshops for uh, the target audience instead of saying that you taught some cool tech things or something like that. And coming to the organized, awesome guest talks, you could phrase it differently in the sense that you could say organized guest talks for so and so. We could skip the awesome because we're assuming that if it's on your resume, it's most likely pretty good. Yeah, that's it from uh, the quiz aspect. I'll stop sharing. Muthu, could you go to the next part? We'll just take a look at the do's
One
and
second.
don'ts on your resume. Yeah. Do you want to take this up?
Yeah, sure. So like we actually said in the beginning, so one of the most important do is to limit your resume to a single column template and one page. Now, what does this offer? This makes it such that all the information is concise and there is not like going to another page. And most of the resume is sometimes automatically screened by resume readers. So most of the readers do not go for more than one page. They just automatically stop at one page. So you have to try and limit it to one page and make a use of single column template. Next is experience and projects. So like we had in the quiz, you have to use some strong words like deployed, benchmark, design, analyze. It's more of how you have worked with it, right? It's more about what was your impact on the project, on the experience. Like what did you do with the project? That's why it's better to have strong words and convey results with metrics. Like suppose I worked on some mechanical project, I can say I tried to improve the efficiency of the engine by so and so percentage, right? So those are the results of the project. And then there's like maximizing the details of the project, like make it points, 3, 4 points. First point could be the beginning, how you did it. And then the next four adjacent points could be going into details and stuff like that. And then at the end, GitHub link. So in case of a coding project, it would be a GitHub link. In case of another project, it could be any link. For example, it could be paper publication. So it could be linked to that paper, right? In IEEE. So same thing. So you have to link, you have to maximize the details, you have to convey the results with metrics and impact, and also use some strong words. Now, achievements and outlines. So achievements and activities. In this, you need to outline some specific contribution. Like as in, suppose you are a part of IEEE. So now, as a part of IEEE, you would have definitely helped organize some 2 or 3 events, right? So those are the things that must be mentioned in the resume. It could be like, as a member of IEEE, you have worked with so and so. So you can write something like member of IEEE, and then you can write organized mentorship programs for juniors, organized events for schools, things like that. So those are your activities as a part of the club. And you can have badges, you can have like some position of responsibilities, whatever, right? Those kind of things. Like those kind of things where you can show that you were in a position of responsibilities, or you can also have certificates like these ones, like how you have attended a program, and you can have that certificate displayed on the. Next is as if you are a computer science student, you obviously must have gone through some open source repos. You must have some open source contributions. You can link those open source contributions under projects. You can explain why you did how you did the open source contribution. You can have a link to the pull request or merge request. You can have links to it, GitLab, GitHub, things like that. And now, if you are on the research side of things, you would have had some publications, blogs, articles, those kind of stuff. So you can have links to those. And at the end, make sure to get your resume reviewed from seniors and mentors because any person who has had the experience of going through an interview will definitely know what to improve in a resume. And especially people who have had experience of going through many resumes, including professors or like experienced faculty or seniors in companies, they must have definitely gone through a lot of resumes. So they know how to what is lacking in resume, right? That is known to them. That must miss your eye. So there are things that will miss our eye, which will be caught by them. So it's always better to get your resume reviewed from seniors and mentors. And what does it do? So, like we said, do not exceed one page and do not list too much personal information. So, just have your number, email ID, LinkedIn, and GitHub on top. There's no need for anything else, especially things like Instagram, Facebook. Those are not needed in a resume. It's a technical resume. So, you have to limit it to what is technical, like LinkedIn is, like GitHub is, like email IDs, right? Next is project. So, just provide surface level details because you want the interviewer to ask you questions on the project, right? You do not want the resume to be a report of the project. It just needs to be a highlight of the project. You just need to highlight the important stuff based on which the interviewer will ask you questions. That's how the interview goes, right? So those kind of things and list more than 3, 4 projects. Do not list more than 3, 4 projects. Like make sure that you have like just 3, 4 projects, right? There should not be more than 3 4 projects. Like your resume needs other sections as well. It's not just about project, it's more than projects. So yeah, then do not let grammatical errors. This is a very important thing. Nobody wants to see a resume that's filled with grammatical errors. Use Grammarly, use even Google has its own grammar checking. So definitely get a grammar checks and typos as well. Avoid typos as much as possible. Do not have any typo in the resume. A typo, there is no place for a typo in a resume. So yeah, make sure there is no grammatical errors and typos, and do not switch between active and passive voice. Make sure it's either active or it's passive. It's not like one of your sections is active voice, next section is passive voice. No, make sure both follow the same pattern. It's either completely active, it's either completely passive. And then including achievements from before high school. Now that we are in graduation, post graduation, we should have things related to those in the resume rather than old things like some 8th standard, 9th standard achievements. It's better to include what is in the present, right, in the last few years, rather than something that has happened a lot of years ago. And do not use extremely stylized templates. Stick with the regular ones, stick with the professional ones, because those are tried and tested. And those are the ones that are professional. And you are going to apply for a professional university or a professional workplace, right? So it's always better to keep things standardized and keep things more professional, right? So yeah,
Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to add there.
yeah, yeah.
You might be wondering if you should include your JEE or CET or other competitive exam ranks. You can do so if you have a pretty good rank, right? If it's on the higher as in not so great rank, I would say you could avoid it. And if you are adding it, then you should say you ranked X out of y applicants or number of students who wrote it, right? You should always highlight that you got a very good rank out of a very large pool of people. That's one thing. And another thing, in the project section, why we say you shouldn't list more than 3 4 projects is that what you showcase on your resume should be the best you have. You might have 10 projects, but I want to see your um, best projects, and those projects are something you should know inside out. You include any keyword in your project description, you can expect a I mean, you don't always get asked about it, but you should be ready to answer any question or any uh, set of questions based on a single keyword. So if you're including something like, say, Docker or containerization in your project description, be sure to be able to talk for at least 2 3 minutes along that line. I see a couple of hands raised. I'm not sure if this
Yeah,
is.
those, I think we will go to the Q&A in a minute. Can you
Yeah.
post this link so that we can collect
Yes,
their
yes.
data for giving them the certificates? We need their name and college name. So this form has. So requesting all the people who are attending this session to please fill up this form. We need this data so that we can circulate. So I mean, we can send you the certificates later on. In the meanwhile, what I'm going to request everyone is, can you put your hands down, and then I will, I will just maybe allow the students to unmute and talk if they have a doubt, and they can raise hand and we can do that. So until they fill the feedback, we can take some questions, and then after you fill up this feedback, there is one announcement that I will make. But before that, I would request you please fill up the form which we have requested. And meanwhile, I will allow the mic for attendees. So if anybody has questions. So uh, I have enabled the microphone for all the attendees. Please raise your hand and then go ahead and ask questions so that we can answer your questions if you have any. So I can see there are 3 hands up. Uh, Maybe they want to ask a question, or maybe if you have the 3 hands that are up, if you have any questions, go ahead. I can see there's a question, maybe from Maitri. Do you have any questions, Maitri? No, I think it's up from before, maybe. Sharanya? Okay, no. All right. So if anybody has any questions, you can also put it in the chat box. And meanwhile, Kavya, you can check whether you are getting the feedback in the form so that we can issue the certificates to all.
Yes, sir. I'll just check that.
Yeah. Okay. There's a question for you in the chat box, Kavya.
Okay. Should we include a cover letter with our resume? Usually, from what I've seen and what I've talked to with my seniors, the cover letter is not really something that is expected from, say, entry level uh, people like you and me, right? It's usually from someone who has a lot of experience. So correct me if I'm wrong, because from what I've discussed with others, it's not usually necessary. Your resume should be telling the recruiter all you need to know. That being said, it's not a bad thing to have it, but it's not always compulsory.
Thanks, Kavya, for taking that question. I have put up some links for you all to refer. You can follow our Twitter and LinkedIn, which are going to be more active from here onwards. So if we have more followers, there will be more data also coming in. So please go ahead. Yeah, okay. There's a question.
Okay,
Should we include
thank
our photo in resume?
No, definitely not. Your photo is not required in your resume. If you saw the template that we used, which is what we recommend everyone uses, there is no requirement for a photo, right? It used to be the case that people would put photos, but you don't need to. I see a question from before. Do we include our high school and primary education? Your primary education is not needed. For high school, if you got a pretty good grade in 12th standard, you can put that in. But once you gather experience and projects, usually people stick to undergrad and I think in the future, postgrad also. Um, so I would say for now, you can just stick to including your 12th grade scores. No need for primary education. Video resumes, I'm not too sure about them because I've never had to make one. Muthu, would
Yeah,
you
I
take this?
think even I have not gone through a video resume before. So I would still, if you have the option, I would always say go for a text resume.
Unless somebody explicitly requests
Yeah,
you to, yeah.
Requests. Yeah.
Unless if somebody is making an explicit request to give a video resume, then it's okay. Otherwise, you should avoid doing that by yourself. Just send the text resume. If they want any further details, they will provide it to you.
Should
Okay, I think
we?
that's a question for me, most probably.
Yeah.
Let us see.
Okay, should we? Are you
Yeah,
taking this?
okay. So maybe you can take that question first about hobbies, and then I will
Hobbies.
answer the other question about SETUVE. Sure.
Sure. So ideally, no, you wouldn't need to include your hobbies. Uh, if if you move to the interview rounds, there you can mention in one line maybe, but in your technical resume, it's recommended to avoid putting your hobbies in, unless it's something like we saw in the quiz where you might have been part of the debate club or public speaking competitions, and it adds value in some form of soft skills to your profile. Definitely put
yes.
hyperlinks in your resume.
Yeah, you have to put hyperlinks.
So we're expecting you to have hyperlinks to your mail, LinkedIn, GitHub. That's the top portion. And then your projects section should have your GitHub links, which are again hyperlinks. And if you have any experience in the form of internships, whatever internship certificates you've gotten, put that on Drive and link that in your resume.
Great. There are some really nice questions. Uh, yeah. So answering the question that one student has asked that whether the resume should be in this form only for the SETUVE program that we have launched, the answer is no. But please remember that in the SETUVE program, whatever CVs you are giving to us, we are going to put it together in one location and share it with respective people who might be willing to provide internships to the students. So if you make the CV as clean as possible and as neat as possible, your CV might be among the ones that gets picked up sooner because it looks good, it's clear, it has all the necessary information. So you have definitely an upper hand if you make the CV in this form, because we know that many companies and many colleges, they like to have, uh, you know, CVs in this kind of format. Formatting, again, the look and feel, you can change it, you can take another template, but keep it as Muthu and Kavya said, make it single page to the point, only things what are necessary. Don't keep any other thing. Okay. Um, so I'm seeing a message. I'm not able to open the link. Can you please tell us which link so that we can send it again? I request the student to put it again. But yeah, answering the earlier question, do we need to have the resume in this format strictly for SETUVE? The answer is no. It's your choice. Uh, if your CV looks good, you stand very good chances of being picked up by somebody sooner. If your CV does not attract them, then possibly it might take a little longer. You might have to update your CV later. So that's the reason we are doing this session on CV Garage. Uh, the reason, again, we call it as Garage is because we need to fix our CVs. All of you who registered for the SETUVE program have already submitted the CVs to me. But we know that most of those CVs were not in a format which was easy to read. So I that's why I made this session called CV Garage, so that we can fix the problems with your CVs first before we go to the companies or professors who might want to give you internships, or companies that might want to give you jobs. So yeah, that's how it goes. Um, yeah, and there is a question. So Muthu has answered in the chat itself. Muthu, you want to orally also mention about it?
Yes, sir. So there was one question of like opinions on using Canva. So yeah, it does make the resume look a little bit more casual. It is always better to just stick to Overleaf because it is more appealing to the technical audience. Your Canva might be appealing to someone else, but as a part of technical audience and professional audience, it is better to keep it something more technical like Overleaf. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing is that um, once you make the CV in Overleaf, and Overleaf is free, and I had sent out an email to all of you to create an account. It's totally free. You can keep the CV all the time there. Suppose if you need a CV suddenly, you can just log into Overleaf from any system that is nearby, download quickly a PDF, and hand it over to the person. So no need to carry it all the time in email boxes or something. With Canva, you can do the same thing, but as Muthu already pointed out, it looks a bit casual. This is more professional. Okay, and there's only one template that we demonstrated today. There are many other fantastic templates that are available. So feel free to use that thing. Can we paste the link again? So the feedback link is not working, is what one student said. But I see there are about another 4 or 5 people are yet to fill the feedback. I can see 55 responses we have received. Just we want to mention, we make sure that you receive the certificates after you attend this session. Yeah, so can somebody please put the link once again? Yeah, I think it is
Yeah, I
pasted.
think it's not.
Okay, until then, maybe if there is any more question, and then I'll go with the final announcement, maybe. I'll just give it a minute. And yeah, that announcement can be off the recording. It need not be recorded. So I think we can stop the recording. We had a very good discussion. So let me stop it.